We're hardwired to view pain as an error message. I mean, it's like this glaring red light signaling that something needs to be fixed immediately.
Oh, absolutely. It's a total fight or flight response.
Right. But what happens when you encounter a worldview where pain isn't an error, but actually a prerequisite? So, welcome to today's deep dive. We are looking at a Christian text called Talking About Jesus.
Yeah, and it's basically a series of these really profound prayers. They explore how believers are taught to navigate prolonged suffering.
And how they maintain trust in Jesus Christ when circumstances just look incredibly grim.
Exactly. And, just to be clear up front, as we go through this, our role is simply to act as your guides to the material.
Yeah, we aren't here to preach or endorse a theology. We're just mapping out the internal logic of this specific framework on suffering.
Right, just unpacking what the source actually says. And it drops us right into the reality of relentless hardship.
It really does. It talks about these brutal periods where one storm passes and another rises. I mean, there is no breathing room at all.
None. And in those moments, the default human instinct is to pray for an exit strategy.
Oh yeah, get me out of here.
Right. We tend to treat faith as transactional. But this source, it redefines faithfulness entirely. It argues that true faith isn't dependent on visible outcomes or finally getting that requested breakthrough.
So it's not about immediate results.
No, not at all. Instead, it's about trusting the eternal character and the constant love of the Lord, regardless of the immediate conditions.
Okay, so it essentially rejects the idea of faith as like a magic wand designed to change the weather. It treats it more like an anchor.
I like that analogy.
Right. It's meant to keep the believer tethered to something solid while the storm just keeps raging around them.
Exactly. The anchor doesn't stop the waves, it just stops you from washing away.
Wow, yeah.
And the text specifically asks for the strength to maintain that tether even when nothing visibly improves.
But wait, if the anchor just keeps you in place to get battered by the wind, the text has to have a justification for why enduring that isn't just, pointless torture. Like, why not just cut the rope?
Well, it justifies it through this concept of unseen work. The text frames waiting not as wasted time, but as a sacred space.
Like sacred space.
Yeah. The idea is that by refusing to grant immediate relief, the Lord is operating behind the scenes to slowly dismantle the believer's ego.
Huh.
You're basically forced to realize you aren't in control, and that realization is the actual mechanism that cultivates patience, humility, and deep dependence.
I mean, I struggle with that sacred space idea.
Yeah.
Realistically, if you put someone in a pressure cooker of prolonged suffering, they don't naturally become holy.
No, they don't.
Right. They usually just become deeply bitter and exhausted.
And the text actually anticipates that exact cynicism. It doesn't pretend that bitterness isn't our default setting when relief is constantly delayed.
So how do they deal with that?
Well, to guard against that despair, it advises shifting focus entirely from the immediate misery to eternity.
But that kind of shift seems impossible if you feel like you've been abandoned. When you are crying out for help and hearing absolutely nothing back, the silence is deafening.
It is. And that brings us to the source's most striking distinction. The text explicitly tells the believer, silence is not the same as absence, and delay is not the same as denial.
That is a very counterintuitive way to view silence.
Yeah.
In almost any human relationship, silence signifies a breakdown or a withdrawal.
Right.
But here, it's being framed almost as an active presence.
It flips the paradigm completely. If a believer can hold on to the conviction that God is still working in that silence, their quiet endurance transforms into a tool.
A tool for what?
For testimony. The text points out that enduring this way becomes a powerful testimony to others who are watching. It proves that faith can remain remarkably steady even when surrounded by totally unanswered questions.
So the core message seems to be a call to walk faithfully moment by moment, placing total trust in who the Lord is, rather than what the believer can currently comprehend.
Yes, exactly. It requires completely surrendering the need to control the timeline of your own suffering.
Which leaves you with a really fascinating thought to consider as we wrap up. In our modern world, we've engineered almost every aspect of our lives to avoid waiting.
Oh, totally. Next day delivery, instant streaming.
Right, instant everything. So if, according to this teaching, the deepest personal growth only happens in delayed gratification and quiet endurance, are we accidentally engineering away our own resilience?